The sun was shining through our apartment window as I adjusted my tie preparing for the rehearsal dinner. Amanda was in the other room, laughing with her bridesmaids. Everything was perfect. Life has a funny way of bringing things full circle. Just 3 days earlier, I received a message from Jessica, my ex-girlfriend, who cheated on me with my best friend Tyler 5 years ago. Seeing her name on my phone screen sent a chill down my spine. Before I dive into what happened next, let me know where you are watching from and hit that subscribe button for more life-changing stories that will make you question everything you thought you knew. I should probably start from the beginning so you understand why this message turned my world upside down. My name is Larry, a 28-year-old software developer living in Boston. 6 years ago, during my sophomore year at Massachusetts State University, I met Jessica in an Introduction to Philosophy class. She sat 2 rows in front of me, and I noticed her immediately. With long auburn hair and intelligent green eyes, she captivated me from day one. It took me 3 weeks to finally work up the courage to talk to her after class. Our connection was instant. We discovered we both loved indie rock bands. Nobody else had heard of hiking on weekends, regardless of weather, and staying up late watching classic films from the 70s. Within a month, we were inseparable. I fell hard and fast, convinced I had found someone truly special. Tyler had been my best friend since elementary school. We grew up on the same street in a small town outside of Springfield, played on the same baseball teams, and even decided to attend the same university. When I introduced him to Jessica, he seemed genuinely happy for me. The 3 of us started hanging out regularly, going to concerts, having movie nights at my apartment, and taking road trips on long weekends. Sometimes it felt like Tyler was becoming a third wheel, but he never complained. By our junior year, Jessica and I were talking about our future together. I started saving up from my part-time web development job, planning to propose after graduation. We had it all mapped out how we would both find jobs in Boston, rent our first apartment together, and start building our lives as partners. I even had conversations with her parents, who seemed to approve of me. Looking back now, I should have noticed the warning signs. During our last semester of junior year, Jessica became increasingly distant. She would take longer to respond to my texts, claiming she was busy with study groups. Her phone would light up at odd hours and she would quickly flip it over. When I asked who it was, she would dismiss it as just classmates discussing projects. I believed her because I trusted her completely. Meanwhile, my career prospects were looking promising. I landed an internship at a prestigious tech company, putting in extra hours to impress my supervisors. Jessica started complaining that I was working too much, even though it was for our future. The internship paid well, and I was secretly putting aside money for the perfect engagement ring. For our 3-year anniversary, I planned a surprise weekend trip to Cape Cod. Jessica had always talked about wanting to see the ocean sunrise from a beachfront cottage. I spent months organizing everything from the ocean view rental to dinner reservations at restaurants she had mentioned wanting to try. I was going to propose under the stars on our last night there. The ring was hidden in my sock drawer, waiting for the perfect moment. Tyler knew about my plans. He had helped me pick out the ring and listened to me practice my proposal speech countless times. He seemed genuinely excited for us, offering suggestions to make the moment even more special. I never suspected that behind his supportive smile, he was harboring ulterior motives that would destroy everything. The week before our anniversary trip, Jessica became unusually busy with what she called emergency study sessions. Our phone calls grew shorter, and twice she canceled our dinner plans last minute. I brushed it off, assuming she was stressed about finals. I was working late too, trying to wrap up projects before taking time off for our trip. My supervisor appreciated my dedication and let me leave early on Friday, the day we were supposed to leave for Cape Cod. Jessica thought I would be working until 6, but I managed to get out at 2 in the afternoon, giving me plenty of time to pack and prepare everything. I stopped by a florist and picked up her favorite lilies, planning to surprise her at her apartment before we hit the road. I still remember the spring air, feeling unusually cold that day, as I walked up to her building flowers in one hand and my spare key in the other. I was smiling, imagining her face when she saw me early, ready for our special weekend. That smile remained frozen on my face as I quietly opened her door, planning to surprise her with the flowers. The sound of laughter led me to her bedroom. Without thinking, I pushed the door open, expecting to see her packing, or maybe talking on the phone with one of her friends. Instead, I found Jessica and Tyler tangled in her sheets, so engrossed in each other they did not even notice me standing there. The lilies slipped from my hand, scattering across the floor as my world collapsed around me. Time seemed to stop. It took them several seconds to realize they were no longer alone. Jessica gasped, pulling the sheet up to cover herself. Tyler jumped out of bed, scrambling for his clothes, his face pale with shock rather than remorse. I remember saying nothing at first. What could I possibly say? My girlfriend and best friend had betrayed me in the worst possible way. The two people I trusted most in the world had been lying to my face while going behind my back. Jessica spoke first, her voice shaking. The gut-wrenching part was not that she apologized, but that she did not. Instead, she said, "Our relationship has not been working for a while now, Larry. You are always busy with work. Tyler and I did not mean for this to happen." Tyler attempted what I suppose he thought was an apology. "Man, we never wanted to hurt you. It just sort of happened. We were going to tell you after your big project was done." Their excuses only made the betrayal more painful. Not only had they cheated, but they were trying to justify it as if my focus on building our future somehow excused their behavior. I realized in that moment that they had probably been laughing at me behind my back for weeks, maybe months. I did not yell or break things like you see in movies. Instead, I felt a cold numbness spreading through my body. Without a word, I turned around, walked out of the apartment, and closed the door behind me. I heard Jessica calling my name as I walked down the hallway, but I did not look back. I spent that night in my car, parked at a scenic overlook outside the city. The irony was not lost on me that this was the weekend I had planned to propose. I cried until sunrise, my tears eventually giving way to a hollow emptiness that seemed to consume me from within. In the following days, both Jessica and Tyler bombarded me with calls and messages. I read none of them deleted. All of them. I blocked their numbers, removed them from social media, and asked mutual friends not to mention them to me. Some friends tried to mediate, suggesting we all talk it out, but I refused. There was nothing to talk about. Some betrayals cut too deep for reconciliation. The aftermath was brutal. My academic performance suffered as I struggled to focus on anything beyond my pain. I nearly failed 2 classes that semester. I stopped going to social events, worried I would run into them. The internship that had once seemed so promising became merely a distraction, something to occupy my mind, so I would not have to think about what happened. After a month of barely functioning, I realized I needed help. I started seeing a therapist through the University Counseling Center. Dr. Patterson helped me understand that, while the betrayal was not my fault, my healing was my responsibility. He encouraged me to set boundaries, process my grief, and eventually learn to trust again. The healing was not linear. There were good days when I felt like myself again, followed by nights when memories would flood back, leaving me sleepless and angry. I deleted all our photos together, gave away gifts she had given me, and asked my roommate to box up anything she had left at my place. Through mutual friends, I heard that Jessica and Tyler had continued dating for a few months after our breakup, but it did not last. Apparently, the foundation of lies they had built their relationship on could not sustain them. I took no pleasure in their breakup, but I did not feel sympathy either. They had made their choices, and now they were living with the consequences just as I was. By senior year, I had established a new normal. I focused intensely on my studies and worked, graduating with honors and accepting a full-time position at the tech company where I had interned. I maintained friendships with people who had respected my boundaries and supported me through the darkest period of my life. But romantically, I remained closed off, unwilling to risk that kind of pain again. The betrayal had fundamentally changed how I viewed relationships. I became hypervigilant about signs of dishonesty, quick to question intentions, and slow to open up. Trust, once given freely, now had to be earned through consistent actions over time. I built walls around myself, determined never to be blindsided again. When I moved to Boston for my new job, it felt like a chance to truly start fresh. No one there knew my history with Jessica and Tyler. No one would give me pitying looks or awkwardly change the subject when certain topics came up. I could be just Larry, the new software developer, not Larry, the guy who got cheated on by his girlfriend and best friend. The first year in Boston was all about establishing myself professionally. I threw myself into work, volunteering for challenging projects and putting in extra hours. My dedication paid off with a promotion within my first 18 months. I made casual friends among my colleagues, but kept everyone at a comfortable distance. My apartment remained minimally furnished, as if I was not quite ready to fully settle in. It was at a tech conference in Chicago, 3 years after the betrayal, that I met Amanda. She was presenting a session on user experience design that I attended. Her presentation was brilliant, and during the networking reception afterward, I gathered my courage to introduce myself and ask her some questions about her work. Unlike my instant connection with Jessica, my relationship with Amanda built slowly. We exchanged professional emails, at first sharing articles and ideas related to our fields. When I discovered she also lived in Boston, I suggested meeting for coffee to discuss a project I was working on that could benefit from her expertise. That coffee meeting lasted 3 hours. We talked about work, but also books, travel, and our favorite places in Boston. She was easy to talk to, with a quick wit and genuine curiosity about the world. By the end of our conversation, I realized I had not thought about Jessica once the entire time. Still, I was cautious. When Amanda suggested we meet again, I hesitated before agreeing. The walls I had built were thick, designed to protect me from exactly the kind of vulnerability that forming a new connection would require. But there was something about her direct gaze and straightforward manner that made me think she might be worth the risk. Our relationship progressed at a deliberate pace. I was transparent about my trust issues, though initially vague about their origin. Amanda never pushed, allowing me the space to open up at my own speed. She demonstrated her reliability in small ways, always showing up when she said she would, responding to messages promptly, and being consistently honest about her thoughts and feelings. 6 months into dating, I finally told her the full story about Jessica and Tyler. We were sitting on her couch on a rainy Sunday afternoon when the words started pouring out. I had never shared all the details with anyone outside my therapist. Amanda listened without interrupting, her hand steady in mine. When I finished, she thanked me for trusting her with my story, and promised she would never take that trust for granted. Her response confirmed what I was beginning to believe, that Amanda was different. She understood that my past had shaped me but did not define me. She was patient when my insecurities surfaced, firm when my fears were irrational, and always, always honest, even when the truth was uncomfortable. Over the next 1.5 years, we built a solid foundation. We moved in together, combining our book collections and debating furniture choices. We met each other's families, took vacations together, and started talking about the future in a way that felt exciting rather than frightening. When I decided to propose, there was no doubt in my mind that Amanda was the person I wanted to spend my life with. I planned the proposal carefully, not as an elaborate production, but as a genuine reflection of our relationship. On a regular Tuesday evening, after cooking dinner together in our apartment, I asked her to marry me with a simple speech about how she had helped me rediscover joy and trust. Her yes was immediate, followed by happy tears and phone calls to our families. The wedding planning brought pure excitement rather than anxiety. We chose a small venue by the harbor, invited our closest friends and family, and focused on creating a day that celebrated our journey rather than following traditions that did not resonate with us. Amanda found a dress she loved. I got fitted for a suit, and we wrote our own vows, promising honesty, growth, and partnership. As the wedding date approached, I realized I had not thought about Jessica or Tyler in months. The pain that had once consumed me had faded to a distant memory, replaced by the happiness and security I found with Amanda. I had moved on completely, or at least I thought I had until 3 days before the wedding. I was at our apartment reviewing final details with our wedding planner when my phone buzzed with a notification. The name that appeared on the screen was one I had not seen in 5 years: Jessica. My first instinct was to delete the message without reading it to protect the happiness I had built. But something curiosity perhaps made me open it. The message was brief: Jessica, asking if we could meet in person, claiming she had something important to tell me before I got married. She wrote that she had heard about my engagement through mutual connections, and while she understood I might not want to see her, what she needed to say could not be communicated via text or call. She signed off by saying she would completely respect my decision either way. I stared at my phone for what felt like hours, my mind racing with possibilities. What could be so important that Jessica needed to tell me in person? After 5 years of silence, part of me wanted to ignore the message to continue with wedding preparations, as if it had never arrived. But another part, the part that had always sought closure, wondered if this might be my chance to finally put the past completely behind me. That night I showed the message to Amanda. Her reaction surprised me. Rather than feeling threatened or upset, she encouraged me to meet with Jessica, if that was what I needed for closure. She reminded me that our relationship was built on trust and honesty, and she had confidence in the strength of our bond. Her only request was that I share everything with her afterward, which I readily agreed to. I responded to Jessica, agreeing to meet at a neutral coffee shop downtown the following morning. I chose a time early enough that it would not interfere with our rehearsal dinner later that day. I set a clear boundary that I could only spare 30 minutes. Sleep did not come easily that night. My mind conjured various scenarios of what Jessica might want to tell me. Was she ill and seeking forgiveness before it was too late? Had she and Tyler gotten back together and wanted my blessing? Was there some secret child I did not know about? Each possibility seemed more unlikely than the last. The coffee shop was quiet when I arrived. Just a few early morning customers, typing on laptops or reading newspapers. I spotted Jessica immediately sitting in a corner booth, nervously fidgeting with a paper napkin. She looked different, older of course, but also somehow diminished. Not the confident woman I remembered. Her once vibrant auburn hair was cut short, and she had dark circles under her eyes. As I approached, she looked up, offering a tentative smile. I did not return it, instead sitting down across from her with a simple greeting. Up close, the years had clearly not been kind to her. She appeared tired, worn down in a way that went beyond physical appearance. I got straight to the point. "You wanted to talk. I am listening." Jessica took a deep breath, her hands trembling slightly as she wrapped them around her coffee cup. "Thank you for meeting me, Larry. I know I am probably the last person you want to see, especially right now." She began by apologizing, not with excuses or justifications, but with a genuine acknowledgement of the pain she had caused. She admitted that her behavior had been inexcusable and that she had spent years regretting her actions. I listened silently, neither accepting nor rejecting her apology. Then came the bombshell. According to Jessica, Tyler had been manipulating both of us for months before the cheating occurred. She claimed he had been systematically sabotaging our relationship by planting doubts in each of our minds about the other's feelings. Jessica explained that she had discovered long after we broke up that Tyler had been deleting messages between us, telling each of us the other was losing interest. He would tell me Jessica had canceled plans when she had not, then tell her I was too busy to see her when I had actually suggested meeting up. He created fictitious complaints from each of us about the other, slowly driving a wedge between us, while positioning himself as the supportive friend to both. My initial reaction was disbelief. This sounded like a convenient excuse, a way for Jessica to absolve herself of responsibility. But then she pulled out her phone and showed me screenshots of conversations with other former friends of Tyler, all describing similar patterns of manipulation. She revealed that Tyler had a history of this behavior, inserting himself into relationships and destroying them from within. The evidence was compelling. Text messages, emails, accounts from multiple people. As I listened, pieces began to fall into place. Small inconsistencies in our relationship that had never quite made sense times, when I was certain I had sent messages that Jessica claimed never to have received. I felt a complex mixture of emotions: anger at Tyler for his calculated betrayal, confusion about how I had missed the signs, and a strange sense of validation, knowing that our relationship had not failed entirely due to Jessica and me. But there was also the question that kept returning. Why tell me now after 5 years? When I asked her this, Jessica explained that she was moving to Seattle for a job opportunity the following week. Before leaving the East Coast, potentially forever, she had decided to make amends with people she had hurt. I was her last and most difficult conversation. She had debated whether to contact me at all, especially after learning about my upcoming wedding, but ultimately decided I deserved to know the truth. I sat back, processing everything. If what she was saying was true, it changed the narrative I had constructed about our breakup. Not completely. Jessica had still made the choice to cheat, rather than talk to me directly about her concerns. But it added a layer of complexity to a story I had thought I understood fully. "What do you want from me?" I asked her finally. "Forgiveness." Understanding Jessica shook her head. "I do not expect anything from you, Larry. I just thought you deserved to know the truth. What you do with this information is entirely up to you. I am not asking to be part of your life again. I can see you have moved on and found happiness, and I am genuinely glad for you." As our conversation wound down, I found myself asking about her life now. She told me about her struggles after our breakup, how her relationship with Tyler had quickly deteriorated once there was no more secrecy or sabotage to fuel it. She had gone through her own period of therapy and self-reflection, eventually rebuilding her life and career. The Seattle job was a fresh start she had worked hard for. When it was time to leave, we did not hug or make promises to stay in touch. We simply acknowledged that sometimes understanding the truth about the past helps us appreciate our present even more. I wished her well in Seattle, and I meant it. Driving back to the apartment, I felt lighter somehow. The revelation did not erase the pain of the betrayal, but it provided context that helped me make peace with that chapter of my life. I realized I no longer harbored anger toward Jessica. Tyler was a different story, but he was so far removed from my current life that even that anger felt distant and unnecessary. I told Amanda everything as promised. We sat on our balcony watching the sunset as I recounted the entire conversation. She listened attentively, asking thoughtful questions and offering insights I had missed. When I finished, she took my hands in hers. "Does this change anything for you?" she asked, her voice steady, but her eyes revealing a hint of vulnerability. I did not hesitate. "It changes how I understand my past, but not how I feel about our future. If anything, it makes me more certain that you are the person I want to spend my life with. With you, there has never been manipulation or games, just honest communication and genuine love." The next day, we had our rehearsal dinner, surrounded by our closest friends and family. As I looked around the table at the people who truly supported us, I felt a profound gratitude. The journey that led me to this moment had been painful at times, but it had also shaped me into someone capable of recognizing and appreciating authentic connection. Our wedding day was everything we had hoped for: simple, meaningful, and filled with joy. As we exchanged vows, I made silent promises, beyond the ones I spoke aloud, to never take our trust for granted, to remember that honesty, requires courage, and to choose Amanda every day, just as she chooses me. Finding true love after betrayal taught me that while we cannot control what happens to us, we can decide how it shapes us. I could have remained closed off, letting one painful experience define my approach to relationships forever. Instead, I chose to risk vulnerability again, and in doing so found something far more beautiful than what I had lost. So I want to ask you, have you ever received an unexpected revelation that changed how you understood your past? How did it affect your present? Share your experiences in the comments below, and if this story resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need to hear that healing and finding love again is possible even after the deepest betrayals. Thank you for listening to my story, and remember, sometimes what feels like an ending is actually the beginning of something far better than you ever imagined.